Okay, this is part 5 of the Rishi Sunak document and video. Please, you can verify and corroborate all of this information by yourself. You can go onto the Companies House House search record online and search all of these companies and follow the evidential links through the documents. We're now at an extremely important part of these documents, and we're talking about an English-Russian linked company. Now, these are recently dissolved. Well, I'll say recently, October 2022, dissolved. I'm just trying to think when it. Yeah. So let's move on. Just when you didn't think it could get any more interesting, it does. So we're in the Anglo-Russian Opera and Ballet Trust Company, and on the incorporation document, you've got a royal company now. Okay, so you've got the Royal Opera House linked to it on the incorporation document. Let's move forward. So within that company, Anglo-Russian company, you've got Baroness. Okay, Elizabeth Margaret Smith of Gilmore Hill. Let's look into their record. You've got John Smith Trust, Edinburgh Festival Fringe Society Limited. Remember, this is linked to an English-Russian company. These are now active companies we're talking about here. You've also got the Independent Press Standards Organisation. Remember, we've said the media is controlled. You've now got a Russian UK joint link through to control of the press. Independent Press Standards Organisation, CIC. Let's have a little look at this company. It's an active company. Now, this is where things get incredibly interesting. Now, that was started by Swift Incorporations Limited. Now, remember, Russia have had access to the Swift International Transaction System according to the research, but they came away from it. I can't remember when, according to that research. Now, look at this. Through the same person in that company, you've got the Hackluit, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong, International Advisory Board. Incorporated in 1995. Still an active company. Now, they were started, as I said, 1995 and changed their name in 2004. And you can see where the names were changed above. The Holdingham International Advisory Board at one point. So what is this company? Well, first of all, we'll look at these companies are also mentioned on the incorporation documents. Names are mentioned. So we've now got British Heart Foundation, Southampton University. Remember, we've already mentioned that. Royal Geographical Society. European Capital Limited. East European Trade, Anglo-Hellenic League, Royal, same companies there. It's just a different person with mostly the same. So what is this company? Well, it's a British strategy advisory firm. The company is headquartered in London. It was founded by former officials of the British Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. The company has recruited several former British spies and journalists from the Financial Times. The name of the company comes from the geographer Richard Hakluyt. Also got mentioned there. The firm is chaired by Paul Dighton. My apologies, Paul, if I pronounced that wrong. Managing director of those companies. Managing partners, of those individuals are there. Let's move through more research. In 2001, the Sunday Times reported that oil companies Shell and BP had Hakluyt to collect Mr. Putin. I'm very sorry if I'm saying this wrong. To collect information on the environmental group Greenpeace. In 2012, one of the operatives, Neil Haywood, was found dead in his Chongqing hotel room. Local authorities said his death was due to alcohol consumption. Haywood had been close to the local Communist Party representative and his family. The local chief police told that he thought Hayward had been poisoned. This caused a disagreement, and Wang sought asylum at the US consulate. Soon after, he was suspended from the Politburo and disappeared from public view. In 2023, Bloomberg reported that the British Labour Party had brought in Harriet to help it court the British business community by arranging meetings with prominent business figures. A spokesman for Harriet stated that we do not work for political parties, while a Labour spokesperson declined to comment on the association. We've now got links, and we're now looking input through people from that company, and they link to P&O pension funds. Remember, if you look at the World Trade Center document, P&O is linked through to the World Trade Center disaster. Let's move forward to this. We've also got a link to De La Rue Holdings. Remember, De La Rue is the currency producer for the UK and the producer for many countries around the world. So they produce the banknotes and the coins. De La Rue Holdings Limited. And you can see here the previous company names. So they were incorporated in 1898. But it should be De La Rue PLC in brackets the on the incorporation document. Oh no, nothing like that. Thomas De La Rue. Fraud. Just when you didn't think it could get more interesting, let's move forward. Okay, so we're now looking in with the same company. And this is a person, British person, just checking that, in Tunbridge in Kent, according to this. And they link through to Oxford and Cambridge Club Hostel Limited. Now looking within that company. And you've got Farrer and Co. Now this is significant because Farrer and Co. links to Ghislaine Maxwell and Robert Maxwell. Now they lived in Oxford in a 53-room mansion. Ghislaine Maxwell was either director or secretary of Oxford Football Club. All of the doctors, or many of the doctors, linked through to the child trafficking fraud studied at Oxford University. So Farrer and Co. is very significant. And here we go. I'm just showing you the links now. Farrer and Co. links through. Again, this is a shareholder within my company. Royal Marsden. Also links through to Louise Smith of Company's House. The research, you can go and look at this. And here we go to Terramar UK Limited, which is Ghislaine Maxwell's linked company. That company links to the offshore island group that I told you about with the child protection concerns on the Isle of Wight. We've also got a connection through to it, to the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, and also the Charles Darwin Trust links to Farrer and Co. Now that means the theory of Charles Darwin could have been made up completely. The theory of evolution. I'll let you can make your own decisions about this, of course. Back into the Oxford now, into that Oxford company. We're looking at this person. It links to the Association of Governing Bodies of Independent Schools. Somebody else within that company links to Lloyd's Banking Group. Remember the documents. This is another link through a company that's going into liquidation. Remember I said about More London Place. This is another one more. They had 4 more earlier, didn't they? Going into liquidation, even though it was incorporated in 1912. Now it's going into liquidation. I suspect that's no coincidence. And on the incorporation document, it should have Balwinco. I forgot to highlight it. Balwinco Limited. 1912. No, of course it hasn't. Same date on there, different company name. Crime against humanity, but they can be forgiven. Now we've got Lloyds Bank PLC linked. This is just showing Lloyds Bank has also got a completely different name on the incorporation document. And it appears, I've just highlighted in the top corner here, there's a stamp. It appears they've tried to alter the date. If you look at this, you can see there's a figure behind here. It looks as though this has been placed over the document to try and change the date. But unfortunately, it hasn't helped them, because within the document, you've also got the date written, and that date corresponds with the register, but the name is completely different. Wow. Okay, so we're now back into the Harriet company, the intelligence agency, remember, linked to the MI6, linked to Russia, active company. Let's keep going. Emerging Health Threats Forum, CIC. Remember, there's lies and deceit, corruption all the way through, and now they're assessing what they believe to be emerging health threats. Can they be trusted with assessing that? And we're back into the Harriet company, and it links through to Shell. So this person links to Shell. Remember, we've had oil companies. Now there's oil companies galore all the way. I haven't shown it, but there's loads and loads of different oil companies. Almost all of them are illegal. Almost all of them are unlawful. They've got false entity companies all the way through. But this is one example. So Shell Petroleum Company Limited, the 1903. So it's an old one. And it's got nothing like it. Nothing like it. Look at that. Completely different company name. Waterloo and Sons Limited on it as well. Let's look at another one linked to that person. Shell Chemicals Limited. I've highlighted this because it changed its name. Look, 1997, prior to the World Trade Center disaster. Changed it again afterwards in January 2002. 4 months after the World Trade Center disaster, and never changed its name again. And it is still, let me just check. Yeah, still an active company. I'll let you read into that what you will. But of course, hasn't got the right name. So it should be Shell International Chemical Company Limited. It's actually got this on the incorporation document. But they've tried to, they've forged it as well, but it's wrong anyway. So they've crossed out scientific and put technical. Now don't forget, this is a forgery, a crime under the 2006 Fraud Act. Now, unless they're saying they are void from any crimes, which is, I mean, it's game over. If that's what they're suggesting, then now this is where it's critical. So now within this company, the Harriet company, okay, we're still within that. And this person, see Peter Anthony, links to Thales Electronics Limited. Now this is incredibly important because Thales is involved in producing the directed energy weapon systems with BAE Systems. Okay, Thales and BAE, and they are around the Nicola Bulley case. Okay, so now we've got a financial interest in the intelligence services linked to directed energy weapons companies. Not only that, but with Russia and the UK collectively involved and having a financial interest in the same weapons productions. Let's look at Thales Electronics Limited. So I suspect, now there's more information we'll come to in a minute. I'll let you draw your own conclusions from this. So you can see they were incorporated in 1951. They changed their name in 2000 and again in 2013. And on their incorporation documents, it's called Rakow Engineering. But it should be Rakow Electronics Public Limited Company. Fraud. Back into Thales Electronics now. We're looking, and this is the connection to Nicola Bulley that I'm telling you about. Goes in to the company, and you have this person. They link to Thales Optronics Holdings Limited. And the person within there links to the Lancashire Partnership Against Crime Limited. Okay, so you can see the link all the way through. Now that company is linked to the police that investigated Nicola Bulley. Now this all links in, which we'll talk about very soon, in relation to the 5G network and the technology being used within the 5G systems being placed around the country. Not only that, but into the ULEZ, ultra low emission zone, cameras going up around all cities. Thales Optronics, just to show you that it does link in, and you can go and look at the BAE. Best thing is go and look at the Nicola Bulley research document and video, and you'll see that Thales Optronics is linked to it. Now, just when you didn't think it could get any more interesting, this is just to confirm it, that this is where BAE and Thales are working together, and the Dragonfire is the new weapon. And you can see this is March 2024, this article. Ministry of Defence, this is talking about the next few years. The Ministry of Defence invests 72.5 million in directed energy weapons. Launch of laser directed energy systems, BAE systems, Thales linked to it as well. It's just showing you global directed energy weapons market to 2028, featuring Raytheon Technologies, Thales, Leonardo, and BAE Systems, among others. Just mention of Raytheon. Directed energy weapons market is to grow by 19.16% from 2022 to 2027. Again, you can go and look at these articles. Don't just take my word for it. During 2021, a theatre-led consortium, BAE Dragonflyer, UK laser directed energy weapons, shoots down something. Didn't see all that, but there was also an article from 2021 where they had a land-based directed energy weapon that shot down something out of the sky. So let's look at Raytheon Systems Limited, the other company involved in this. KAO1, you need to remember this for later, another video. Incorporated in 1946. Company name should be COSOR or COSOR Electronics Limited. No, it's just COSOR Radar Limited. Also on the incorporation document, you've got Linklaters and Paynes features throughout the fraud. They're the legal team, one of the world's biggest legal teams. Cobham Limited is also mentioned above in those articles as being involved in these weapons. Directed energy, you can see Christchurch, Dorset address. Okay, so Christchurch, Dorset. Remember, Dorset is where I'm from. Christchurch was actually where I worked in the police for a while. Cobham Limited, this person links through to the Society of British Aerospace Companies, the in brackets. Let's have a look at them. Incorporated in 1918, dissolved in January 2023. See, they're catching where they know the time's up. They know it is up. 1916. So the incorporation name should be Society of British Aerospace Companies, the Limited. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Look at that. Society of British Aircraft. Wow. I can't even get angry. I'm just, oh my goodness, I'm just absolutely gobsmacked at these people. So blatant, isn't it? Camford School links through to the same person. That's already been mentioned in the fraud before. You'll see that on some of the other documents. And the same person, or one of the people, links from there. I don't know if I've got it here actually, but you'll see there is a link through this person to BAE Systems, just to confirm it. BAE Systems, BAE Systems, BAE Systems, all different companies. BAE, Leonardo, we already mentioned that on the articles. BAE, Raytheon. Okay, now we're going back into Cobham, looking at a doctor. Remember, doctors heavily linked throughout all of this. You can probably understand why. Linked to Tatra Steel UK Limited. I've already mentioned this in my previous videos. This now just confirms what I was saying is true. Tatra Steel UK Limited. Called British Steel Limited originally when they were incorporated. And on the incorporation documents you have Norton Rose. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. and Jordans Limited, Norton Rose. Okay. Previous research of Norton Rose that I already had links David Cameron to Typhoon Jets and Norton Rose. So David Cameron. Here we go again. No Rose, which links to Norton Rose. There's another company called No Rose, but it links through to it. Again, links to David Cameron, but also links to Swift and Jordans Limited, unlawful, illegal, criminal companies that the solicitors would have been aware of. And here we go, Tatra Steel closures. So as a result of all of this fraud, they've obviously panicked. And in January 2024, Tatra Steel companies are closing down around the country. We'll come to Tatra again in a minute. But just to prove to you again, David Cameron promotes Typhoon fighter jets in the Middle East. This was in 2012, but it went right the way up to 2000. I think it was still ongoing. But I've recently heard they may have cancelled any contracts for Typhoon jets to be sold to the Middle East again. Tatra International Metals, UK Limited, dissolved. When did they dissolve? I think I've got it here somewhere. In January 2024. Now, they've been going since 1992. They're panicking and they've closed to avoid any further accountability or liability for them. But they changed their name. You can see on here, 24th of February 2000. Before the World Trade Center changed it again in 2004. Let's move forward. And they were started by Swift Incorporations Limited. Wow. Jordans again. Now, Cobham Limited links through to, you always see on my World Trade Center disaster document, links through to Parkstone Yacht Club. That is in Lilliput, in Poole, in Dorset, near, it's actually where police officer Neil Monroe's body was found in the water. I know what I think happened to poor Mr. Monroe. But that company is down there. I'm not saying they're involved in it. I'm just saying that's the area, Sandbanks area. Apparently the 4th most expensive place to live in the world. We now have a good idea why. But they link through to the New Yacht Club Limited. Now you'll see from my World Trade Center disaster video that links within 3 companies from the shareholder for my building, Deborah Fleming, and also 3 companies within the airline company that was used to go into the World Trade Center building, if you believe that aeroplanes were actually used. That's a whole other matter. But there is definitely 6 company links between the World Trade Center disaster and my building, and right in the middle is this yacht club. Exactly this yacht club. And of course, they're an unlawful entity. The incorporation document does not match their register. Back into Cobham Limited. And again, you can see they link to Bournemouth, Dorset and Poole Economic Partnership Limited, Dorset Local Enterprise Partnership. And the head of the council, Vicky Slade, links to that company. So Vicky Slade is my understanding is she's the head of the council for Bournemouth and Christchurch and Poole Council. And she took over from Andrew Mellor, who resigned after I started reporting the fraud. Apparently he was involved in illegitimate use of council tax money for the area for his companies. Lo and behold, his companies, if you look at BCP council document and video, are linked through to this system of fraud. Here's John Beasley, a councillor. I actually had the pleasure of working with John when I was in the police a couple of times. Thought he was a good man. And you can just see that she's the leader of the council there, just to confirm that. So now we're looking in Dorset Local Partnership in that company. And you can see that this councillor links to Lockheed Martin. This has already been brought up in the other documents. And Lockheed Martin links through to the previous chief constable, or research surrounding it links through to Martin Baker, the previous police chief constable for Dorset. And I already know there's loads of evidence through linking the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office, including the current David Sidwick, links through to this system of fraud, and in fact the management companies surrounding my building. So we've now got Dorset Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Now we're back into the Hakluyt company, okay, that we mentioned earlier, looking at another person, Right Honourable. Okay, so they're involved in the Lords, House of Lords, and the government. We're looking within them, and you've got the Great Britain China Centre in brackets. So China have now had an interest in this. It's an active company. Back into the Hakluyt. Let's go back and look at this person, and they link to the Mitsubishi Corporation. Mitsubishi is linked to Fujitsu, by the way. They're under the same, my understanding is from the research. And of course, you've got the Fujitsu Horizon Royal Mail scandal, post office scandal that we'll come to shortly. That's already been identified as part of this fraud, linked very, very closely through to the Fleming companies. And there was a company set up, if you look at my other documents, called the Horizon Scandal Fund in 2021. It's all linked through to this. Back into the Hakluyt company. And as you know, the Royal Mail Scandal Fund, scale fraud, was the largest miscarriage of justice ever in the history of the UK, according to the news. Hakluyt. So let's look back into Hakluyt. We've got the Royal Foundation for here we go. The Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Let's look at that company. Kensington Palace is the address for it. Incorporated in 2009. They were originally called the Foundation of Prince William and Prince Harry, set up in 2009, and then changed their names. Okay. Now, on the incorporation documents for this, you have Bates, Wells, and Braithwaite again. So it's the same company that links to the Madeleine McCann companies and links to Keir Starmer. You can look at the Madeleine McCann video. Now, on the same incorporation document, you have all of these companies listed, and these ones are particularly noticeable. Lloyds Bank, Lloyds Banking, the Hakluyt, as we mentioned, International Advisory Board, Bank of Scotland, HBOS PLC. Also at the bottom, you've got Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP. But significantly, now by chance, now this is not a coincidence, I had got to this point on this document and I met with some people and they told me of a recent news article about monks being involved in sexual abuse. And that was literally a few days ago. And I looked at that article and that then changed the course of this document. And we'll come to that in part 5.